What is up, guys? Delboy here. I am going to briefly take you through the World Boxing Super Series Season 2 drafts for the Super Welterweight and the Bantamweight tournaments. You will have to forgive me, I am a few cans deep, so I might not be the most coherent YouTube boxing commentator you've ever heard right now. So yeah, I'm going to go through these quarterfinals and share my brief thoughts on them. I will be doing individual videos for each fight, but I'm going to be doing those over the coming few weeks. Let's start with the Super Welterweight tournament. We will start with Regis Prograis versus Terry Flanagan. Prograis currently holds the WBC interim title at £140. Terry Flanagan was a former WBO lightweight champion, and obviously Terry Flanagan is coming off a loss against Maurice Hooker. That fight was for the vacant WBO super lightweight title. Now, I am fairly confident that Regis Prograis will prevail here. Prograis is the guy who is coming into this fight in form, with some momentum and some excitement. He's an aggressive fighter, fast hands, power puncher, really good combination puncher. Whereas Terry Flanagan, moving up in weight, coming off a loss, coming off a bad performance, and I think stylistically, Prograis presents a lot of issues for Terry Flanagan. I'm not sure whether Flanagan has enough to keep Prograis honest. Flanagan is a decent southpaw boxer at a certain level, but once you get to world level, I think he's going to come undone, especially at £140. I think it could be awkward for Prograis early on for the first 2, 3, 4 rounds, but after that, I feel the pressure, the power of Prograis will prevail, and he is going to get a mid to late stoppage in that fight. The second fight in the super lightweight tournament is Kirill Relik, the WBA champion, versus Edward Troyanowski, the former IBF super lightweight champion. I actually feel this fight is the best quarterfinal bout in the super lightweight tournament. Maybe overall, actually. I think this is really well matched. I think stylistically this one should gel exceptionally well. Kirill Relik is a guy who likes to come forward and use a high work rate, works the body, great inside fighter. He's a buzzsaw up close. We saw that against Francis Barthélemy and against Ricky Burns. He's a really high octane fighter, whereas Troyanowski also come forward fighter. He throws those looping wide punches that have a tremendous amount of power on them. He's a heavy hitter. Two guys coming forward. This fight should not disappoint. Both guys are going to meet each other and it's going to be a war. I feel Kirill Relik is the more skilled guy. He's more astute on the inside. Quicker hands. He's younger. He's fresher. I think he's looked better at a higher level. So I would pick Relik to win that fight. But I wouldn't be surprised if Troyanowski landed a big shot and that's all she wrote. It's a really good fight. Thoroughly looking forward to this one. Underrated fight. One you guys need to keep an eye out for. Probably the best quarterfinal overall. We'll move on to Josh Taylor versus Ryan Martin. You know how I feel on Josh Taylor. I feel Josh Taylor is a really good up-and-coming fighter. In 13 fights, he's fought the likes of Victor Postal, a former champion, Miguel Vasquez, a former champion. He's fought O'Hara Davis, a domestic rival. In 13 fights, he's fought pretty good competition. And for the most part, he's looked pretty good doing it. Lovely style, great body puncher, southpaw, good amateur pedigree. There's a lot to like about Josh Taylor, really good prospect, really good fighter, really talented guy. And Ryan Martin, to me, I've seen a bit of Ryan Martin. I think he's a very likeable person. I think he's a very likeable kid. He is actually, I believe he's signed with K2 and he trains in the same gym as Gennady Golovkin. And listening to his interviews, he obviously thinks very highly of Golovkin. He seems like a nice guy, but from what I've seen of him, he seems very, very limited. He's pretty much reliant on his jab right hand, but apart from that, he doesn't really do anything special. He's a textbook type fighter. He does the basics quite well, but above a certain level, I really feel Ryan Martin is going to struggle. And Josh Taylor is at that level where Ryan Martin is going to struggle. I don't feel Ryan Martin offensively has enough firepower to keep Josh Taylor off of him. and defensively he doesn't have enough to keep Josh Taylor off of him. You know, Ryan Martin's quite textbook, and I think Josh Taylor is just going to walk him down, work that body, and take him out mid to late rounds. And we move on to the last fight in the super lightweight tournament, Ivan Baranchyk versus Anthony Yigit. Another good fight, actually. Baranchyk is a guy who has been on the come up. He's quite an aggressive fighter. He's short, he's compact. You know, he likes to come with those hooks and those body punches. You know, really rudimentary style. But, you know, he brings a really good high work rate in a high octane style. Really entertaining. Versus a classic sort of European boxer in Anthony Yigit. Likes to keep upright, pop that jab, keep moving, look for those straight punches and point score. Good stylistic matchup, the pressure fighter versus the boxer. You know, Yigit has a good skill set at European level, but something tells me that he's not going to be able to keep Baranchyk honest. I feel Baranchyk is going to walk him down and probably either take him out late rounds or win a points verdict. But a really good fight between two unbeaten guys. You know, that's one of the better fights in the tournament in the quarterfinals. And that summarises our super lightweight fights. We now move on to the bantamweight tournament. Ryan Burnett versus Nonito Donaire. Now, I was very surprised that Ryan Burnett picked Nonito Donaire. I really felt Ryan Burnett was going to pick Mikhail Aloyan. Mikhail Aloyan is a Russian fighter who's 4-0, very good amateur background, but has proven nothing as a pro so far. Aloyan has gone split decisions with less than stellar guys in the pros. I really felt Ryan Burnett was going to pick the easy option, but he's picked Nonito Donaire. Now, it could be an easy option. It totally depends on what Donaire has left. But, you know, Donaire still has that left hook, and he carries tremendous power in that shot. And obviously, like most people, I am picking Ryan Burnett to win this fight. However, if Nonito Donaire somehow makes the weight relatively comfortably, I'm telling you now, Ryan Burnett does not want to be hit flush with that Nonito Donaire left hook. He really doesn't. If he's feeling shots from the likes of Zanat Zakyanov, he's certainly not going to want to take a flush Nonito Donaire left hook. So although, you know, Ryan Burnett is going to be a big favourite going into this fight still has a level of intrigue that's going to make me watch it. We'll move on to Zolane Tete versus Mikhail Aloyan. Obviously, Zolane Tete is the WBO bantamweight champion. He's a really big guy for the weight. He's about 5'9", really good jab, really good straight punches. You know, he's really good at controlling the range. He's got solid sort of surprising power. You know, he's a really good technician, really well-rounded fighter. And in regards to Mikhail Aloyan, like I said earlier, really good amateur. You know, he's medalled at multiple different events in amateur boxing. But in the pros, he's only 4-0. He's had 0 knockouts, and he has gone to the split decision verdict twice. So I'm not really expecting too much from Mikhail Aloyan. Having said that, I will need to watch him back. I think I remember him from the 2012 Olympics, but I really need a refresh. Maybe this guy could surprise us all, but, you know, I'm not really holding my breath in regards to Aloyan. We'll see what happens with that one. We move on to Nai Inoue versus Juan Carlos Payano. Obviously, Inoue going into this fight is the bookie's favourite. He is the guy who's expected to win this tournament. He's a power puncher with pretty good skills, good combination punching. He delivers his shots very well. He also cuts the ring off quite well. He leaves his opponent very little time to breathe. And overall, he's just a problem with a really exciting style. And I think, like I said, you know, well, the bookies say he's favourite to win this tournament. So we'll see what happens with that. You know, you'd expect Inoue to defeat Juan Carlos Payano. Payano is a good fighter in his own right. He has wins over the likes of Rashi Warren and also Anselmo Moreno. They're two good names. But he is 34 years old, and not only that, he's got like 9 knockouts in 21 fights. So I feel Payano, although he's quite well-rounded in terms of skills, he's past his best. And I don't think he has the power or the youth to keep Inoue honest, and I feel Inoue is just going to walk through him. Piano could take him a few rounds maybe, but you'd expect Inoue to do a pretty professional job on Piano. And last but not least, we have Emmanuel Rodriguez versus Jason Maloney. Now, I've seen a bit of Rodriguez. I obviously saw Rodriguez take out Paul Butler on the David Haye versus Tony Bellew 2 undercard. I was really impressed with Rodriguez that night. Really sound fundamentals, excellent jab, lovely straight punches, great timing, really good control of range. He actually reminds me of a more dynamic version of Kell Brook. Rodriguez, he's a bit more expressive with the shots he throws. He puts his shots together better. I think his hands are quicker. And overall, I just feel he has a better punch variety. But there's certain things that remind me of Kell Brook in Emmanuel Rodriguez. His stance, the way he maintains range, how he sometimes leads with his right hand. There's certain things about Rodriguez that remind me of Kell Brook, but I feel he's a little bit more advanced than Kell Brook. I really like Rodriguez's style. He's like a boxer puncher. I find his style really pleasing on the eye, and he's actually going to be the fighter I'm rooting for in the bantamweight tournament. I feel overall though he's third favourite. I feel that Inoue is probably rightly favourite, followed by Tete and then Rodriguez. I think Rodriguez is probably third favourite, but I do like him, and I am going to be rooting for Rodriguez to pull this out. And his opponent, Jason Maloney, again, I've not seen too much of Maloney, but I know he's picked up a decent win recently over Koei Kono. Koei Kono back in the day was a decent fighter. He is past his best, but still a good name to have on the resume. I've never seen Maloney fight before, so I need to do some research there. But I will make prediction videos for each one of these fights. I will have a brief look at all of the fighters involved, and we will do our previews for each fight of this quarterfinal lineup. Again, really happy that the World Boxing Super Series is continuing for a Season 2. I really hope that the World Boxing Super Series is a regular fixture for boxing. Obviously, the first season, it delivered some really good fights, but it wasn't perfect. We had some sort of scheduling issues. There was injuries, and I don't think they really handled that the best in the first season. So I'm hoping the organisers in the second season have a better contingency plan should things go wrong, just to keep the tournament rolling. But yeah, overall, I've been really impressed with Season 1. I want to see Season 2 grow and get better. And I want to see the World Boxing Super Series brand just, really be a yearly occurrence in boxing. I really like knockout tournaments in boxing. It just feels like the stakes are that little bit higher. And, I think it makes for great fights. I think it makes for great atmospheres in the crowd. And, Season 1, especially the Cruiserweight tournament, delivered some really, really good nights of boxing. So, yeah, I'm just hoping this concept just grows from strength to strength. And I'm hoping we get some more seasons of this, because it's been one of the better things in boxing in recent years as far as I'm concerned. But again, I'm not saying it's perfect. There are things that could be better. The scheduling issues from the first season should not be as prevalent in the second. When fighters are injured, they need a much better contingency plan in the event of injuries. Should that mean better replacements or being more willing to reschedule? I don't know. But regardless, in Season 2, they need to be more clinical in solving injury problems or scheduling problems. That's just my opinion. But overall, I love the concept. What do you guys think of Season 2? What are you looking forward to? Peace.